Welcome to bread making once again. What I've done is today I'm going to talk a little bit about differing kinds of flours. One of the things, if you really want to, do rigorous testing, or in your case, generate a reproducible result, in other words, you have bread that you know how it's going to look and how it's going to taste, you need to start with the same ingredients. And to illustrate that, I have made a ball of dough using whole wheat bread flour. If you look at this, you see holds its shape pretty well. Looks like a little bit runny, but not too bad. But it looks about like the 70% dough that we had made last time. It is going to hold its shape. It's going to stay in a ball. It's not going to run all over the counter like the 80% flour that we made. But this particular bread here is actually an 80% dough. So again, you remember when we had 80% with your normal white bread flour, very runny dough, wouldn't hold its shape, kind of ran all over the table, couldn't bake it freestanding. With this, it is, a good loose dough with some water in it, but it's going to hold its shape pretty well. So that's why it's important when you make bread to check the recipe, but it's also important to do a test run and look at how the dough comes out. Does it come out in the shape that you want it to come out in? If I was making this dough and I had made it with, say 60% hydration, I would have had a very, very stiff dough, and I would have said, oh, that's not good. And the problem is it's easy to add flour and knead it in to the dough. You'll notice I don't work with floured surfaces, and the reason I do that is I want to keep the hydration constant so that you can see what a hydration looks like. But if you flour your surface, the flour is going to work into the dough. So if you've got a dough that's a bit too wet and won't stay together, you can put some flour on the counter, knead it on the counter, and it'll take the flour in, which will lower the hydration and give you a stiffer, better dough. So here is our 70% loaf of dough. 80%, and I haven't really done anything with this yet. I just made it, so I'm going to put it in a Banneton basket. And the reason that I'm using this particular one, you see it's got a linen lining, which is useful for dealing with your wetter doughs. But the reason I'm using this too is that I want this bread to come out in a loaf shape, so that after I finish the ferment, or the rise, then I will be able to turn it out like this and bake it like this as a freestanding loaf. Again, with 80% with your basic white bread flour, you're not going to do this with an 80% dough. But with wheat flour, you are. So remember, if you substitute wheat flour for white flour, whole wheat flour for white flour, you're going to need to add some extra water. If you make cookies, the cookies are going to probably come out very dry. So you definitely don't want to use whole wheat flour for cookies unless you dial back the amount of flour, but dialing back the amount of flour is going to have other changes on it. So generally speaking, if you're making something with whole wheat, make bread, add a little extra water. So we'll come back when the loaf is all baked and you can see what that looks like. Talk to you then. 35 minutes at 400 degrees. See, nice looking loaf. Let's cut it open, see what we get. So you can see this is a lot denser than an 80% hydration loaf made with regular flour, but it is a decent looking loaf. Checking on the bottom here, that is definitely done all the way through. So you can see that increasing the hydration for wheat flour does not give you need to increase the hydration for wheat flour when you bake the bread to make sure that it comes out correctly. So, thanks very much.